Hello and welcome back. In the last video series I showed you, talked a lot about the government hypocrisy, but I guess now we have to start ramping it up a little bit. And today, actually not just today, but the next 6 or 7 parts of this next series is going to be on government and media lies, because frankly the lies that are coming out from both the government and the media regarding COVID-19, if you want to believe it exists, and other things are just astronomical. It's actually almost a full-time job just keeping up with it. So I'm going to expose some of it. But what I want to talk a little bit first. I'm going to talk about the truck protest that's going on right now in Ottawa, because there's a lot going on in there too that is being reported that is simply not only not true, but it is deliberately set up and made to to have these truckers looked at upon in a bad light. So I'm going to expose a lot of that. That itself is going to take several parts here, because there's a lot of material to cover. I'm going to cover everything from the police supporting the truckers to the hate that is going on there, because there certainly is that, but it's not what you might think. Obviously the government lies. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Terry Fox statue, because that seems to have been somewhat of a hot topic. I'm going to talk about the truckers and the garbage being left behind. We'll talk about truckers feeding the poor, when in fact that is what's going on. Although the truckers have been accused of stealing the food. I'm going to throw in a few various images, just for effects as well. And lastly, I'm going to discuss various media reports that are going on from around the world. But because this is going to be very image heavy, with both still images and video, like I said, I'm probably going to do this in 3 parts. But I want to go back a little bit. When it comes to media lies and media credibility especially, you have to go back to 1950s. Back then, the Second World War was over by then, of course, but there's a lot of cleanup going on. A lot of the soldiers were returning back to Canada, many of them from the UK. And of course, we had the CBC back then. And you have to wonder whether they had an image problem back then as well. Because the CBC back in the 50s actually had their on-air broadcast staff, the newsreaders, sent to finishing school to give them British accents. It was thought at that point that by giving them British accents, it would make them seem more believable and more reliable and more trustworthy. You gotta wonder, again, like I said, did the CBC have a credibility issue back then? Well, they certainly have one now. And boy, am I going to show you some stuff from that. So just stay tuned with that, and we'll go on this in a little sort of in a somewhat methodical manner. But today I'm going to start off with the trucker protest. Well, we all know that for the past a week or so, the truckers have been, at least the Canadian truckers have been in Ottawa, where they said they were going to be, and quite a few things have been going on in there, all positive really from the truckers' point of view. And really it's been a really good event so far. I actually had a chance to participate in it for a little bit myself, and I did like what I saw over there. But the nonsense and the lies coming from the government were rather interesting. One of the things that was being said was how the truckers were starting to get violent, and how the police actually did not support them whatsoever. Well, that of course is completely untrue, because as you see in this particular video, We even have the police, yes, the police, actually dispensing food to the truckers. Here, watch the video. Yeah, you can see that. I mean, when was the last time you saw the police doing that? So, no, the police are definitely in support of the drivers here. There's some reports here that there was some violence going on here. Well, so actually not. In fact, as of this morning, there's 2 reports that have gone on so far. One report is of an incident outside of the Chateau Laurier Hotel, where a bystander tells me a police vehicle slid into a truck from behind and their tires made contact. No damage to any vehicle. But yeah, they're saying that the truckers are violent. Now, there's also a report actually this morning that I saw where apparently a couple of people were arrested, which is true. Ottawa police did in fact confirm 2 people were arrested, but they had nothing to do with the protest. They were there strictly for the purpose of causing problems. Here, I'll show you. Here's the screenshot of the Ottawa police report. So as you can see, no, none of that is going on here. Now, next thing, this is a bit of a serious problem here, because a lot of talk was going on around the hate that was being spread over there by the so-called right-wing and extremists, or whatever you want to call them. Trudeau's favorite thing is referring to them now as, I believe, a fringe minority with unacceptable views. Well, they certainly did have a fringe minority with unacceptable views over there, except it wasn't the drivers. In fact, I'm going to show you a bunch of still images here of the actual people involved in these unacceptable views, which are unacceptable. We had one guy, I've actually got his face finally exposed, with a Confederate flag. In fact, as you can see in the video that I'm showing you right here,
now he's going. Now he's gone. We called him out. He knows.
he was surrounded and escorted away from the convoy because people like that aren't wanted. However, pay attention to this. You'll notice a couple of things here. One on the video, of course, is he's escorted out. But the next 2 images that I'm going to show you here, isn't it interesting that Adam Scotty, who happens to be Justin Trudeau's personal photographer, just happened to be there at the precise moment that this same person was out there, just literally unfurled his Confederate flag. So, who's really doing the hate over here? This is Trudeau's own photographer helping out doing this, clearly, because how else would he known to be at that exact spot, at that exact moment, at that exact space and time? Come on, this is just laughable. Now, we also had, and I'm going to show you another video here. Where a person is dancing on top of the tomb of the unknown soldier. Again, the truckers were blamed for this. However, not so fast. Here are 2 images And of course, the video I showed you of the person who's actually responsible for doing that. Interesting, isn't it, how, again, the media doesn't bother telling you any of these things here. They're just trying to blame it all on the truckers and the convoy and all that. But none of that is true. Lastly, of course, not lastly, but you had a couple people show up with their Nazi flags. Again, those were either Antifa or actual agent provocateurs. It's pretty well established that just about every major protest event has that going on. And not just to instigate violence and make the good people look bad. And then these guys get away with it, of course, and yeah. But here's one I wanted to share with you here. Some CBC, who is this? I think it was a National Post reporter, I believe it was. No. A Globe and Mail reporter says she was triggered by the sight of the Canadian flag. I mean, give me a friggin' break. Triggered by the Canadian flag? I'll tell you what, if you're so triggered by the Canadian flag, do yourself a favor. Pack up and move. I've got a truck, I'll help you. All right. Next, and hang on here. Now, here I'm going to show you a bunch of videos here where Trudeau is basically saying, again, his fringe minority, his hate speech where he accused the truckers of being everything from tinfoil hats and stuff like that. And then, of course, Christina Freeland. I mean, frankly, she's got the IQ of a rusty spoon. I'm sorry, but she's just a complete idiot. And again, everything that they're saying, there isn't a shred of truth in one word of what they're saying here. Not one shred of truth. Watch the videos. You'll see. I'm going to put these videos up in here, and I'm going to put them right one after another so you can see and hear for yourself just the outright lies coming out of their mouth.
Small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
Next question.
And to Canadians at home, watching in disgust and disbelief at this behavior, wondering how this could have happened in our nation's capital after everything we've been through together, this is not the story of our pandemic, of our country, of our people. Canada is strong because you are strong. Pendant près de 2 ans, les Canadiens ont fait preuve de force, de générosité et de respect. Vous avez démontré votre courage. Vous avez fait d'énormes sacrifices. For nearly 2 years, you've been there for each other as neighbors, friends, and fellow Canadians. I think of the moms and dads who looked after their families, the kids who stepped up in so many different ways, seniors who stayed strong in our darkest days, volunteers throughout our communities who supported our most vulnerable, frontline workers from truckers to store clerks who've kept our shelves stocked and made sure we have food on our tables, healthcare heroes who've saved countless lives and continue to do so. We know you're tired, and yet you do not stop. You inspire us. Canadians support you. We're in your corner. All of you are the story of this pandemic, not the convoy. Cette pandémie, c'est aussi l'histoire de millions de personnes qui ont fait les bons choix qui se sont fait vacciner et qui ont fait des sacrifices pour assurer leur sécurité et celle des autres. Je peux vous dire que je vais continuer d'encourager les gens à se faire vacciner, que ce soit pour les doses de rappel ou les vaccins pour les enfants. Je vais continuer d'être là pour vous. So, yes, the concerns expressed by a few people gathered in Ottawa right now are not new, not surprising, are heard, but are a continuation of what we've unfortunately seen in disinformation and misinformation online, conspiracy theorists about microchips, about God knows what else that go with the tinfoil hats. We have been clear every step of the way.
Okay, well, thank you for the question. And look, I am speaking to you from Ottawa today, and I was in the House of Commons today. It was important for me to be there in person. But I live in Toronto, and I was home in Toronto over the weekend, and I was reading the newspapers with my kids, and we saw that terrible picture of the Terry Fox statue desecrated. And I have to tell you, my kids were just shocked. Like all, Canadian young people, they've grown up with Terry Fox as a hero and the Terry Fox runs. And they couldn't believe that someone would do that. And I am sure that I am one of just many, many, many parents across the country whose kids looked at that picture in the newspaper and were horrified. And so, my first reaction is just to say things have been happening in Ottawa over the weekend, which are just unacceptable. Desecration of national monuments and national symbols, people brandishing totally horrifying symbols of hatred and intolerance, including the swastika. That is completely unacceptable. And it's really important for all Canadian leaders across the country to be very, very clear and to speak out and say, this is unacceptable. This is not the Canada who we want to be. And I really profoundly believe, and I know that this is not what Canada is. So let me just start by saying that really clearly and urging political leaders across the country, community leaders, let's all stand up. Let's be clear to each other. Let's be clear to our kids. This is not right. This is not okay.
And lastly, for this particular video, I want to talk about the Terry Fox statue here, because this caused some discussion. There was talk that the Terry Fox statue was desecrated and vandalized and all this other crap. I'm going to show you exactly what happened to the Terry Fox statue here. He had a flag, a Canadian flag, draped around him. He had a sign and that's something mandate freedom, and I believe there was one other one. Let me just pull it up. Oh yes, and he will not divide Canada. Freeland and Trudeau and all that, saying these statues were desecrated. Unacceptable. I mean, give me a break. However, let's have another look at another image here with a Liberal standing next to the Terry Fox statue with an LGB flag in there. So how is that not desecrating or destroying a statue, but putting a Canadian flag on him is? But if that's such a big deal to them, how is it that No comment was made from either one of these people when, for example, at Ryerson University, the statue of Egerton Ryerson was toppled over, brought down by a truck, some guy in a pickup truck, with Miguel Valero doing most of the work. He's one of these professional protesters from Toronto. And his buddy Captain Canuck, also known as Josh Chernovsky, was there solely for the purpose of videoing it. Now, if Josh is such an honorable person, and he knew about it, which he did because he was there to film it, and it was quite a way away from his residence in order to do that, he should have done the honorable thing and call the police and say, police, come on, they're going to do this. But no, he didn't do that. He went and filmed it and then started gloating all over the place. Have a look. So that, ladies and gentlemen, my viewers, is exactly what's happening so far. But it's not all that's happening, but I wanted to make sure that we actually had an idea of what was going on. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the trucker protest in the next video. But for now, just enjoy what I've put up here so far, and I'll catch you on the next one. Talk to you later. Bye for now.